Praise the Lord, saints. This is Elder Adrian Hammond, and I'm bringing you another in a series of lessons in our journey through Genesis. Where we left off, the Lord had told man to multiply, and he also put it in the animals to have fear of man because he knew that man was going to hunt. So it looks like before the flood, it was vegetables and whatever came from the ground. So those that herded animals, they herded for clothes, for skins, maybe they herded for milk and for other types of products that particular nature, but it wasn't to eat. But now man was to be a hunter, or he cultivated animals for his meat. So it was imperative that the animals who had came to Adam, remember, the animals came to Adam, and Adam named them. But now, unlike Adam, from Noah, the animals would run away from him because they knew that to stay close to man meant death, which is even unto this day. Even if there is an aversion to hunting animals, the environment that we create is not conducive to animals living. So just go figure on that. But as God began to tell man his plans, we start off now with verse number 5. And it says, "And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man." This is essentially saying that we become responsible for everyone else. Maybe we've lost that feeling. We've lost that drive, or we lost that commandment, whatever it was. But this is saying that we are responsible for the lives of others. At the hand of every man, you require what? Blood. If someone should die because or from your hand, then you're to be held responsible for it. If an animal kills someone, whether it's by accident or on purpose, again, with the animal, it is the animal's responsibility. The thing here, though, is if you note the difference between what Cain had said earlier when he killed Abel, his brother, the question that he asked was very notable for the lack of responsibility that Cain took for Abel's death. And it was, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And even though the Lord answered that, in that he said that the blood of Abel cries out as a witness against Cain. But here he specifically tells Noah that you're responsible for your fellow human beings, whether it's your sons or your sons' sons, whether it's your daughter, not say daughters, but whether it's your granddaughters or whoever happens to be, wives or whatever, you're responsible how you treat each one. And I think this is what we've lost in this world. We feel that we are not responsible for anyone else. We're responsible for ourselves, and that's it. Which, of course, is the very basis of being conceited. It's the very basis of being self-absorbed. It's the very basis of being selfish. We just care for number one. We only look out for number one. And if something happens to others while we're obtaining number one, too bad for them. And we wonder why we get into wars. We wonder why we get into conflicts. We wonder why we cannot stay peaceful. With all this cry of peace that we have, we cannot stay peaceful. We always seem to be at war for some reason or another. Either of something in the past that had been done against us, what is presently taking place that we feel is unfair, or what we feel is going to happen in the future. So we try to anticipate something by warring against someone who may have had it out for us earlier. Because we don't want to wait until they have all of their weapons, because we're afraid we'll be at that particular nation's mercy. Or at least there will be a threat to us. But the Lord is saying here that at the hand of every man, it will be required of us. Read it one more time. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. So if you do something that is going to, and has a possibility of causing the death of someone, hold on to it. Don't just go and commence what you're doing because it feels good to you. Because if it causes the demise of someone else, God will hold you responsible for that. Doesn't even have to be fighting, using weapons. But what you do, knowing is going to cause hardship, knowing is going to cause suffering, knowing is going to cause death. Why are you doing it? Then that puts those that do have sufficient funds, that do have riches in abundance. It means that they have to think of more than just what they've accumulated. They have to think of others. But we don't want to think that way. Because we don't want to feel guilty. We don't want to feel as if we've slacked off. We don't want to feel as if someone may be taking advantage of us because of what we have. We have that as well. We don't want them taking advantage. Who's them? Those that are asking for money. We don't want them taking advantage of us. But have we ever thought of the idea that except that some things that went in our favor, we'd be in that same position of begging someone to give us a dime, a quarter, some loose change. And then people looking at you like you're not worth the breath that's being breathed by anyone. It's sad, but we have to do much better, saints. But people don't realize it started here in Genesis chapter 9. Verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. Because God made man in the image of his own image, if we're not going to threaten God, why are we threatening each other? But it also shows you something else. It says that by man shall his blood be shed. This is the beginning of capital punishment. And as many people may say, I don't want capital punishment. It's cruel. Well, the death of a human being was cruel. It's not, see, the punishment of man by man is not solely in order to get people to rehabilitate. That's good if they can, but that's not the reason. The reason is righteous judgment. Righteous judgment. You kill someone, you mean, now this is not talking about those who accidentally causes the death of others, although negligence has its own price to pay. But if you purposely go out and shoot someone, knife someone, kill someone with a bow and arrow, with a lead pipe, whatever happens to be, you kill someone, then by law, you should be killed as well. And we can't use, well, but isn't by you, isn't it that though, if you kill someone with an electric chair, then aren't you doing the same thing that God said not to? It's been appointed by God to set people in government or people with the authority to end the life of others who have themselves purpose in their hearts to end the life of someone. But again, this comes after judging. And as you will see, even in the law, there were, what do you call it? If someone kills someone and it wasn't premeditated, then such a person can flee to what was called a city of refuge. I believe there were 6 of them. And they were spaced throughout Israel. So it wouldn't be an extremely long way for someone who had done this act to flee to. Now the key was that you couldn't leave the city until the death of that priest that was in that city. So if the avengers of blood, which there was always those that avenged the blood of their relatives, if that avenger of blood should happen upon this person who killed their relative, and they were inside the city, the avenger of blood couldn't do anything. But if he stepped outside those walls, that person was fair game. Now, let me explain something. I would be in favor of the death penalty except one very important thing, that there's too many times when the innocent has been put on death row and then executed. If this was a theocracy and we knew God was the one who ultimately decided the guilt and innocence of someone, perfect. Why? Because I know God does not lie, doesn't make mistakes. Man, however, makes mistakes for many reasons. Even if you got the evidence right, sometimes a person gets on death row because of a story that's been concocted to keep someone else from going into that particular spot. Somebody deemed important. So they use someone who could be considered a throwaway to take the blame. This has happened in several instances. So would you rather kill? Let me put it this way. Some people feel as if it doesn't really matter. This is what God said, and that's what that's what happens. And here, it proves there in Genesis 9. It does prove it in Genesis 9. But Genesis 9 expects that the right person be convicted and then executed. If the right person is not convicted and the wrong person is executed, then that doesn't help anyone. And you can't put this on God. Because many times people have a thirst for revenge, which overrides the search for justice. But that's why, as of right now, I'm not really for the death penalty until they can find a fail-safe way of assurance that somebody who's innocent will not be subject to being executed. After all, my Savior was executed. Last verse I'm talking about in this section. Verse number 7, this is a reiteration. It says, and you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. The idea was to multiply. And as you multiply, the pressures of population growth would then push people away from the center. They would strike out on their own. These are things that essentially is expected for us to do. Someone say, well, but how come now we can stop it because we're overcrowded? Be honest, we're not overcrowded. We got too many people in too few places on the earth's surface. There's some places that actually are wide open. Of course, there are places where not many people will live at. Mountains, deserts, swamps, whatever. It's not suitable for human beings. But at the same time, we have figured out ways to create our own environments in different places. Right now, there's 8 billion people upon this planet. What is stopping us is not the land, but it's the amount of food that we could grow. But the idea here is that if planned correctly, everyone could live, everyone could live with some type of comfort, at least for right now. Now, another 2 billion people, I don't know. But the problem is not that we don't make enough food. That's what people think it is. It's not. It's that we don't work on distributing the food most effectively from the places that produce the most to the places that need the most. That's something else to think about. Anyway, may God bless you and may He keep you. Take care of yourselves. May you have a wonderful, blessed day in Jesus' name.